Holy hell. Happy Monday. Man, this is crazy. I hate doing things from my damn phone. Everything just looks out of whack. Hello, ABC's daughter. I will try and keep it clean, but I can't guarantee anything.
She's going back in the other room. I'm her mom anyway.
But yeah, I'm on the road. Jessica's running towards me. We are sponsoring a golf tournament today for Americans Fallen. It's a cool nonprofit that takes care of the kids of fallen veterans, and they do a lot of cool things. So about 100 golfers are going to be here today. We're sitting on a hole, and I'm going to heckle my ass off and make them hit an oversized marshmallow to see how far they can whack a marshmallow. So that's going to be our day today. So how was everybody's weekend?
I had a great weekend. I took my 7-year-old niece shopping. That was her birthday request, that her aunties take her shopping. And so we did that. And her mom gave her a wad of cash, and she felt so spoiled and special and wonderful. And so that was great.
That's awesome.
Amazing. I spent 11 hours on a softball field on Saturday. I picked my daughter up at 6:30 a.m. We were on a softball field at 7 and we're there till actually 12 hours. We got back home at 7. Then we started the next morning at 6:30 and we drove to Jekyll Island for a cheerleading competition. And I'm happy to be back at work on Monday because it was a hell of a weekend.
You get a break?
The entertaining part was comparing and contrasting softball parents to cheerleading parents. It's a very interesting people watching experience. So,
Jerry, I have seen the cheer dads at like some big competitions. They don't back down. These guys had on all the colors, all the sparkles, all the glitter. They were singing, they were dancing. I mean, they had it going on.
It is serious. I always think about things in business lenses. And so I thought, man, if we could just get companies to get that enthusiastic about the internal workings of our company, the way parents get excited about their teams, man, we would be so much better. It would be incredible.
This weekend, I was apparently the family door dasher for the group because Donnie, your niece had her bachelorette party. And so,
Lord.
No joke, as soon as they get there, they text me and go, "Oh, Peyton, we're only like 10, 15 minutes away." I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty. Wait, why are you telling me this?" And they go, "You forgot this and that and that and this. Will you grab it and bring it to us?" Okay. And so I get there and I get back, and no joke, as soon as I get back, they had called Corey, their mother, and say, "Hey, we also forgot this and that." And I'm like, well, Peyton just got back. Why didn't you tell him? Why didn't you tell him whenever he was picking stuff up? And I was like, not doing it anymore.
Peyton, the only real question is, did you get good tips?
They didn't give me any tips.
Yeah, I guarantee he didn't. I know my niece.
Nope.
I know my niece. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce Jerry since he wasn't in the highlight reel. But for anybody to know, Jerry Mack is my coach. The dude's got an incredible background, freaking awards out the freaking wazoo, and is just one hell of an advisor. He also runs all the VIP sessions at the Badass Business Summit, which was touted as probably the most awesome thing that people attended while there. So just to give everybody a heads up why Jerry's here, who Jerry is. We'll invite him in from time to time to let him come slumming with us. But I'd say he's done some good shit for my company, but I don't want to lie too much.
Well, Donnie, I told him he said he and I hadn't had much of a chance to talk, but I said I was at Badass Business Summit. He was just the man of the hour, and there was not a second to squeeze in to get to talk to him because he was so occupied the whole time we were there.
Man, his ego's already big enough, Ash. Don't let's not get carried away. I mean, he turns sideways to go through some doors.
Listen, you haven't met my wife. I stay as humble as humble pie because she does not allow me to think for one iota that I have done anything important.
Elizabeth and her would get along so well because Elizabeth just loves chopping me down at the knees. I mean, so it's awesome. I love every minute of it. I love
being here. Thanks for the invite this week.
Wasn't really an invite, guys. Just so you know, he's been begging me for like years to do this.
Please.
Oh man!
Awesome, Peyton. Let's play a game.
All right, let's play a game. I'm supposed to share the screen now. I'm still a little tired.
Too much driving?
Quiz. Yeah, maybe. Emoji movie quiz. So I'm going to show y'all a handful of emojis, and y'all are going to try and guess what the title of the movie is. It's just meant to get us talking. Yeah, calling your daughter to help you out with movie titles.
Phone a friend. Phone a friend.
Let's hope Serena's here.
All right.
Yeah, in the chat.
Space Jam.
Space Jam, yeah.
Space Jam, yeah, there we go.
Oh wow, I was not even there.
Nope.
Yet.
Nope.
Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, definitely.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Oh.
That one is Harry Potter. There's no real good magic emojis, I found out, but boy school lightning bolt. Yeah, I could have done glasses, I guess.
Jurassic
The
Park.
dinosaur. Yeah,
Jurassic Park. Yeah. Okay.
Donnie says the dinosaur movie. Yeah,
I was still right.
you weren't wrong, I guess. Yeah.
Thanks, Captain Obvious, since the first emoji is a dinosaur.
I was just trying to lob it up for you guys.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Lion King.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lion,
the
the
Witch, and the Wardrobe. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know.
I tried to put them in order, and Jenny was like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "Okay, you have not seen this movie." This one.
Sleepless in Seattle?
No.
All I can think of is No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Beastie Boys.
That's a song. That's not a movie title. I'll add more into this one. It's a dream in a dream in a dream.
Oh, Inception.
Inception was the idea. Yeah.
Oh.
Don't have any clue what that is.
Yeah.
Well done, Bernie. Well done.
Well, I needed the cue. There, the emojis weren't giving it to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
Up.
I know.
It's
Up.
up.
Up. Yes. 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 If only we had Ruth and Mike Mallon on this one, they'd have guessed that instantly. Yeah.
King Kong. Ah.
All right. And that's just for waking us up. That's all I got for this one.
Nice.
So now we've got to introduce our guests. Here we go. This is Crystal and Rick Rumer, the investing team behind Texas Secured Notes. Specializing in selling land and house notes, they make it seamless for investors to break into the lucrative world of rural land. It's about creating opportunities, giving people a chance to own a home or land, a stepping stone for a fresh start, driven by the belief that everyone deserves a second chance. And today, the Rumers get the hot seat with the Success Champions team.
All right, so this should be a fun, probably a little bit different episode than we're usually dialing it into. So, guys, awesome having you here. It's really, really fun getting to know you guys. As you guys have hung out with us and a lot of the happy hours and such. So, tell everybody a little bit about y'all, what you do, and then how can we help?
Well, let's just jump right in. We've obviously husband and wife. We've been working together for the last 15 years. So we've done all kinds of real estate together and a lot of nonprofit work. We spent some time up in Alaska building out a place of refuge for women and children coming out of sex trafficking. So we spent 9 years doing that. But our roots are here in Texas. Our roots are in real estate. And we've got a creative way of doing real estate that a lot of people aren't familiar with. And we have a product that is difficult to explain to people. And so that's, if we could get some work today on how to explain our product and how to help move that product, that would be extremely helpful for us. So
tell us in as few words as possible what it is you sell. Okay. I'm familiar with notes, but a lot of people aren't.
We sell mortgages on land to other investors so that they can make the return.
That makes sense.
So a short version is we buy large parcels of land, say 100 acres or 400 acres. Then we subdivide them. And then we sell to an end buyer. We offer owner financing to them, so we're the bank. And just like Bank of America originates a mortgage note, and then 6 months later, they turn around and sell it to another bank, you probably have gotten a letter in the mail that said, oh, you're not paying Bank of America anymore, you're paying Bank of Southwest. Well, that's exactly what we do. We transfer that over and sell it to another investor that's looking to diversify their portfolio, get those double-digit returns. That's in first lien position backed by that real estate. And so we do that over and over. And in order for us to continue to grow, we have to sell some of these mortgage land notes that we've originated.
So where's the problem and explanation?
So you saw that I struggled to give you a 5-second version of it. A 30-second version works just fine, but a 5-second version is tough. But even once you hear that, we sell to a lot of individuals, a lot of doctors, attorneys, engineers of that, people of that stature. And we have to explain to them what a note is and how they work. We have to do a fair amount of education, probably 30 minutes to an hour with everybody. So that
one-on-one?
Yes, one-on-one. Yeah, this is on a Zoom call, one-on-one, just to walk them through our business model and how it works. But there's a fair amount of educating because most people that invest with us have never invested in a note, and many of them have never even heard of notes.
So we also sell to private equity groups, a trust company, as well as a family office. We're moving into that direction and selling into smaller institutions, even smaller banks. So we do have a couple of small banks that will buy debt to hold the debt, if that makes sense. So
when you sell to those investor groups and the banks and such, how much explaining is there that needs to be done?
Very little. They understand it.
Well, little on the note, but more on why land. So because we're so niche down, we do some residential, but our bread and butter is land. So even with a family office or a small institution, they're not used to buying land and want to know, well, why land? And so when we're talking to an individual, it's not only about a note, but then it's also land.
When you're selling to these institutions, are they typically bigger deals?
Yes. They're larger packages.
Okay. Any clue where I'm fixing to tell you to go? So I'll say it in easy terms. Quit worrying about the individuals. Why do an open, overcomplicated sale? What happens if you had 500 institutions in your Rolodex that could purchase at any given moment?
Then it would be done.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you retire and we move on.
Right, 100%. Right. So I don't like being in a sale where I have to convince or over-explain my services to somebody.
Of course.
Like, I want a deal where people are already looking for my services, and I happen to be the guy that shows up or is on their radar consistently. Right. So if there's people that already know it, make that your primary. I'm not saying you can't sell to individuals if they happen to come by, but that's an elongated sales process, lots of education, lots of inner workings and the like, when I can walk up to an institution and go, hey, this is what I have. Are you guys looking to add this to your portfolio? And it's a lot shorter conversation.
Yeah.
So the second thought is, and then I'm going to throw it over to the team, is why sell one-to-one when you can be selling one-to-many through workshops, training, teaching, putting on your own seminars and the likes.
Okay.
Right. Just saves you a lot of time and mental energy doing all the one-on-ones. But I'll kick it over to the team, let them ask more questions and give their input.
Yeah, I agree with you, Donnie. My first inclination is if you're already having to educate on a one-on-one basis, why wouldn't you use that very same education you're providing one-on-one into that larger audience, right? There's always investors looking for new plays. So I would personally, my recommendation would be, start doing some webinars and workshops, put out some short video ads on Facebook and LinkedIn and Google. You'll get a lot of the one-offs from that. But if the bigger play here is going after the institutions, then you need to obviously focus in your marketing efforts on going after them. And then the webinars, the workshops, that can be just a slow filter process, right? You'll get those people, but if you're already educating, I would lean into that.
Makes sense. We spoke 2 weeks at a Keller Williams office in Southlake. Spoke in front of probably 35, 40 people. I think it was a great event to do something just like you're talking about. I could see us doing more of those though.
Yeah, I like the webinar and just educational piece to constantly be consistent with that as well, because that is our bottleneck. We're good on the acquisition side and our bottleneck is this side right here on the selling side. And you're right, Donnie, the one-on-one, it's a hustle. I mean, with anything. And so we had met with a family office 2 weeks ago, and they are interested. But again, we sat down, we had lunch with them, we educated them. Although they're very much investing in real estate savvy, they were just not as familiar on this side. But that's one family office. Actually, they have access to other family offices and they can buy in bulk. And because we originate so many X amount a quarter, we can take that every time and then just turn around and sell it in bulk every time if we wanted to.
And imagine going to that family office and saying, hey, why don't we put on a seminar for your people? And now you're doing workshops for them, which gets all their people more interested in doing this. It's a win for everybody.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Agreed. That's what the play I was going to go with is kind of down those lines, but just following that line of the people who, when you explain it, they mostly get it, and you're doing less explaining to, and try to mold that a little bit more and move that along, like Donnie was saying. And if you're going to do the individuals, try to have it so that you're doing group education, like with the seminars, like Bernie was saying, just because then you're not having to explain it one at a time, you're explaining it to an entire group. But if you can explain it to a group that you already know might be interested because someone else that looks like them was interested, then you're already like way ahead of the game.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
If we were trying to come up with the soundbite, I was just taking some notes, right? We offer investors an opportunity to diversify their portfolio to invest in real estate without the hassle of land ownership, right? Because they're buying a note, they're buying a revenue stream, right? I'm assuming they're getting a
Correct.
8 to 12% return.
Yeah, 10 to 12.
Yeah. So
10.
Yeah.
it is just a part of your overall investment strategy. So you're already, you have a whole life policy, you're already overfunding that, you're in the stock market. I want to be in real estate, I want to have exposure to real estate, but I don't want to have the hassle of it, right? And so people understand the ability to be involved in real estate and have an asset and have first lien on it without I've got to go out and mow the lawn and check the tenant and do any of the other things that might happen if you were a holder of real estate. So I think coming up with that soundbite that's going to attract dentists, lawyers, doctors, high net worth individuals who are going, I'm making 600 to 800,000. I can only overfund in so many different places. I should have another channel for investment. And if you did programmatic investing, like you have certain amount of property that you're acquiring each quarter, you allow them to do that on a programmatic basis, right? I love the idea of what Donnie's saying. Getting into family offices is hard.
Yes.
It is a long sales cycle. If you win it, awesome, but it's real hard to build that stream of opportunity. And so I think you have to do both. I think you have to find the high net worth individuals alongside the programmatic family offices and other places that you can go. Where are you currently marketing? Are you going to financial advisors, places like that?
A lot of it's referral Or then we started SCN. Rick did maybe 9 months ago.
Yeah, last summer.
And then I did around the summit time. So as far as marketing, that's an area that we haven't done a lot of. I just started social media with LinkedIn, been consistent for 6 months now, I guess. So that's a whole nother area, kind of a beast that we haven't really. We're just now getting the ball rolling.
We're getting leads. We're getting leads from LinkedIn.
Yeah,
pretty regularly.
I really feel like because you guys have that education piece to what you do, like people don't really understand it, don't really know what's going on. Makes me feel like YouTube would be a good place for you to be.
Agreed.
Because it's educational. Like you can do short little videos. You don't have to explain the whole process all in one video, right? You can explain little chunks of the process, explain different whys, and other people who have purchased from you. You can tell stories about that and about where they are. I just think that LinkedIn is awesome. I'm not saying not LinkedIn. I'm saying use both platforms because that stuff can translate. Video is huge on LinkedIn right now, and video is what YouTube is doing. And so if you can put it both places, I think you can grow both places with that, and you can educate with that. I mean, that's also then gives you a place when you are talking to people who don't know in person, you can give them a place where a bunch of your education lives. Yep. And say, we have this YouTube channel. You can learn a ton from what we've got on our YouTube channel. Oh, here's this great video that talks about exactly what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It gives you a library of education.
Absolutely. And if you're doing webinars and workshops, that's, content that you can chop up and reuse over and over and over again on all of the socials.
Yeah,
right?
true that.
To Jerry's point a little bit earlier, being in SCN, have you guys started to make your way into more of the financial advisors, wealth managers, all of the above? Because it seems like that's a very obvious tactical play when you're talking about investments.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that was the reason for joining SCN was for the B2B exposure and to get into that. And so that's always my ask, on a weekly basis. That's who I'm looking to meet. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think wealth managers is great. Financial advisors, they're heavy on the stock market, and so a lot of them don't like.
Maybe not right now, Kristen.
Right. And that's the educational piece, right? Like they may not know enough about what you guys do to be able to offer that to their clients, right? And the same thing would be for insurance brokers as well. Like they may have access to clients and just don't know enough about what you do to be able to offer that to them.
Yeah.
I think the disjoint between financial advisors and maybe high net worth planners is they're putting people in the stock market because they get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to find the mechanism to pay those people for the investment advice that they're giving to invest in real estate. Because, generally speaking, people don't recommend that because they don't participate in the sale of it. They don't get the referral fee. They don't get whatever it is.
And
on the financial advisor side, but on the wealth management side, they want them to go do diverse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. It's the difference between, a stockbroker and a planner, right? If someone's paying someone to plan out their portfolio, then that is a sliver of it. And, I would come back to, as you describe what you do, what is the problem that you solve? You provide cash flow and diversification for people who are looking for other opportunities. They're already fully invested in other places, and they're thinking, man, I don't want to own real estate directly, but this is my investment opportunity or my vehicle to go ahead and do that. So I would also study Bigger Pockets. I mean, Bigger Pockets is, the king of the real estate investing space with all of the education. I know you can advertise on that platform. I don't know if that's a place to go down for you, but I would study their playbook because, to all of the feedback that you're getting, you're in a space where it takes education for people to understand it, which means it's a longer sell. You've got to have people trust you, right? Yep. It's not like going to the bank and I'm going to put money in the bank and the bank's going to still be there tomorrow when I go get it. Right. Who are Rick and Crystal? I don't know them. So you've got to bridge know, like, and trust. That's going to be longer. And if you do it right and you get to community, right? Because education can lead to community, you can win big in this space, but it's a long play for sure.
Yeah, and something else you said earlier, Jerry, that I really liked was the idea of it's owning land without all the maintenance of owning land. And it's such a huge sales point because I think of rental properties, I think of all the upkeep, the homeowners, and all the crap that comes along with this. I think part of your in is walking through or maybe highlighting that more, because as soon as Jerry said it, I was like, ooh, well, maybe I am more interested in this. Because it is a mental block for a lot of us going after the property side of things. So I think you should really consider playing with that.
That's why you see there's a lot of turnkey rental companies that are popping up over the last 10 years. Like there's one here in Jacksonville Wealth Builders. And the whole concept is they identify the property, they rehab it, they put a long-term tenant in, they property manage it. And this is just an investment vehicle for you. That's all it is. And you meet with your advisor quarterly and they give you an update, and it works really, really well. So it's just figuring out getting the mind share that all you are is another investment vehicle that's paying 10 to 12% returns.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you're paying that out, whether that's monthly or quarterly or how you do that, but that could be really interesting for a lot of people, especially if you're comparing and contrasting. Are you sitting on CDs? Are you sitting on cash in the bank? Because no one wants to invest in the stock market right now because it's too volatile, right? And so who has cash that's sitting on the sidelines thinking, shit, what do I do with this thing?
Yeah.
Well,
right?
and
Don't want to buy real estate because it's 7% interest, right? I mean, there's lots of ways to explain this.
And if you take the education piece to the financial advisors, to the wealth managers instead, then you're educating one that's going to educate all of their people. You know what I mean? Like, instead of educating all the individuals that they care for, you're educating them and saying, you want this and your people want this. And then they educate their whole book. And like, to Jerry's point, you do need to figure out what the grab is for them, like, why do they want to push this to their people? Because they've got to have some skin in the game too, to want to push it to them. But once you find that and you can explain that to them, then I mean, I cannot imagine anybody who is trying to help other people make money who does not want another option right now, So I think that's a great play.
Yeah, I know. About 3 weeks ago.
Go for it, Donnie.
Sorry, jump in, Peyton. Go ahead, jump in.
I said I'm going to be the voice of the comments real quick. Jason Smith says you'll probably have to stick with independent advisors. Anyone that's registered with the big ones, JP Morgan, Chase, Raymond James, etc., they're going to require you to jump on their platforms and do their due diligence. And it's an expensive and long process, he says. The independent channel has greater flexibility on what they recommend to their clients. And so you probably have a better route to go with the independent channels rather than the bigger ones.
I would agree that that's what we found. There's a lot of financial advisors. They're very specific, and I believe there's some technicalities on what they can be paid for and cannot be paid for. And if this is not to follow the next question, this is not a security license with the SEC. Notes are not. So they're not licensed to sell these, and if they're not licensed to sell them, I don't think that they can get paid off of that legally.
Yeah. And what we do with our notes, we go through an extensive underwriting that most people don't go through. So they're institutional ready to purchase, meaning we go through an RMLO, a residential mortgage loan originator. We do not have to do that, but we want to do that and be above board. And so that way we get a lender's policy. They're serviced by a third party servicer. We use a third party to also vet the borrower. So there's also not the predator lending, but it also verifies that they have the ability to pay that asset, that mortgage. And then we package it up, just like you were saying, Jerry, like those rentals, we package it up and you're ready to go, and that gets transferred over to the investor. So it's all there, and it can then be turned around and sold on the second market with somebody else if they wanted to, even turn around and sell it a year from now or 5 years from now.
See, this is all content. Every bit of this.
I know.
Content.
That's. I just keep thinking like now my brain is also going to Instagram, because I know there's this guy on Instagram who did these videos for such a long time, and like also did whatever you would call like a carousel on Instagram, but just like a bunch of swipes. But he was a business broker. He did small business brokering, and the education. It's just like people who are on the platform who have money to invest but don't really know what to do with it, and then you're like, oh, that's an idea, but you don't know until you know. Right. And so that's the big part of it, is getting that education out there. I don't necessarily know that Instagram's the right platform for it. I think LinkedIn and YouTube are the best platforms for it.
Well, I think video in general, right? Video is the answer, because TikTok could be a huge play on this as well. So video is the answer, but what you guys should really consider doing is, teaching this in a very long format, as to Bernie's point, chopping it up into a small bunch of content and start blasting it all over the different socials in micro pieces. I mean, talking about YouTube Reels right now, just because I've been consistently posting one video every day, I'm getting over 1,000 views per video. The growth of the channel is starting to really, kick off. More out of consistency.
Do you guys when you guys are teaching to a new prospective customer or something, do you do things digitally over Zoom that you could record yourself explaining? Okay, so that's
a good idea.
Yeah, I was going to say we do that, and I wanted to say this earlier. We've probably done 8 to 10 different podcasts, and yes. So we kind of go through some of the same education pieces there. My point is, we have some collateral we could cut up. And make a ton of small reels, a ton of short clips.
Totally should do that.
Use all over the place.
But when you're talking about the videos and things like that, I think that's definitely been another bottleneck for us now that we're talking about all this, because we're going, I don't know if that's good. Should we put that out there?
Doesn't matter. The market will tell you. Post it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The market will tell you. The market's always going to tell you what's working and what's not working. Like one of my video hacks that I love right now that I learned off a guy off TikTok is you put out a 30-second video on TikTok, and then TikTok will show you the analytics and show when they drop off. You then go edit that video down to where people drop off and repost a freaking video and watch your views skyrocket. Or you take that same shorter video and you put it on Instagram, your YouTube Reels and the likes at the shorter time. Right. It's all the questions you get is all the information people need. So it's every time you get a question, that becomes content. Every time somebody asks you something, that becomes content. And you just like you would run a workshop, teach them step by step. They'll go find the other steps if they're really interested.
And right? Do they need to be high quality videos?
No. No.
No. Okay.
We don't even have to make them. We already have them. It's kind of what, and then we record our conversations with everybody. Then it's done.
Okay.
It just needs to be edited.
It really is that simple, you guys. Like, you would be completely shocked how I'm sure that you have an entire Zoom conversation with somebody that you could turn into like 15 pieces of content, no problem.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, just the answer to one question is a quick, easy video, and it may not seem like a lot. And it may seem like out of context a little bit when you post it, but in your channel, as it goes, it will then not be out of context. You know what I mean? You got to just get it started. So don't worry about that at the beginning. And then once there's plenty of it, then there's more context to go around.
Well, we were thinking about starting we always say notes are not sexy. We say notes are the goats.
Oh my God, please.
I like it. Sold. That works.
Notesofthegoats.com is already purchased, by the way.
And we say, it's not sexy. It's not a home run, but it is a base hit every single time. And so we thought about just starting to play off of how notes are the goats, how they are the greatest of all time. And that's why the banks do what they do and why they make a ton of money.
I love
So
that.
this is
Listen, making 10 to 12 points, that's pretty sexy with a very low risk and asset based on a first lien position. I'm going to tell you right now,
position, Texas real estate. Yeah.
If someone is really looking for that space or looking to diversify their portfolio, it's sexy to me. I mean,
Yeah.
10 to 12%. I don't care what market. When interest rates were at 2.5, I mean, even sexier, right? But
yeah, and
I would just say
team as well. It's not just Rick and I, but we've got a whole team. But then we
Speaking
also,
of sexy,
yeah, yeah, there we go. But we're there to walk that process, and we always say also, if worst case scenario, the default rate is very low, less than 5%. But if that was to happen, life happens. We are there to walk you through, and so it's not just selling one note. And transactional, it's building relationships and growing, because we know once someone buys one note, they're going to come back and buy another one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, I think in bridging know, like, and trust in an environment where people don't know you, that piece of it might be the most important content that you have to put out there, to say, when it goes wrong, we have a process and here's what it looks like, and we're going to hold your hand the whole way through. Because the biggest fear of, being in the first position is, shit, now I own land in Texas. I didn't plan on doing that. There are other, hard money lenders that you can invest in. They just mop everything up on the backside because you're part of a fund.
Right.
You're the holder of an actual specific asset. So it's a little bit different for you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in thinking through the content strategy, I don't know if you're using ChatGPT, but I would pull down all of the transcripts from your podcasts and from your calls. And I would say, here's our target audience. You have 2 of them, family offices, right? Maybe you have 3 family offices, high net worth advisors, and individual investors. And I would say, okay, what's going to be really important to them? How can I frame this up? What questions are they going to have? You have to build out the profile of each of those people, but I think you could build some really great content from ChatGPT of what you have. How do I need to reframe this to make it easier and simpler to understand? Like, I'd be thinking about things like that, because sometimes when you're closest to the problem, you lose sight of like what's simple and easy for other people to go like, oh, all right, got it. I understand what you do.
That's where we're stuck right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
Yeah, I know a guy that runs the is it Close the Notes? He's got a podcast, and I've known him for years, and it's a note-based podcast, and he's got thousands upon thousands of listeners because he's been doing it so long, and he's not just talking about notes. He's interviewing people that could be potential investors and telling their damn story, right? So he's reaching out. Hell, I've been a guest on a show, and I didn't know shit about notes when I guested. But he's reaching out to people that do have the ducats and saying, hey, come on, why don't we tell your story on, Tote the Notes or something like that show. I'll find it and introduce you guys.
Scott
But
Carson, I think Scott Carson. No,
it is Scott Carson. Yeah, it's Scott. It's Scott.
We've been on his podcast. He reached out to us not too long ago, said that he had somebody that just got made a lot of money in oil and gas and is looking to diversify. So, but yeah, we've been on his.
Well, the reason for me bringing that up is you guys could replicate and rip off and do the same damn thing. No to the Goats podcast or live stream, right? And literally use that to bring guys like me on, Jerry on, like the targets that you're going after that could potentially invest in this kind of stuff. Go bring on the wealth management firms, the family law firms, or the family offices and whatnot, and bring them, because a lot of those people aren't getting on podcasts. So it's a cool way to get in front of an audience. And I think if you really don't just worry about who listens to the show, like, it doesn't have to be an overly produced, overly anything. You just need the conversation with people to get to know them better and get that know, like, and trust, to Jerry's point.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's great.
So, guys,
have you
I'm
considered running your own podcast?
Have we considered it?
Yeah.
I think we have. I think most of the time I have. I haven't considered it seriously. I felt like it would be better to be guests on people's podcasts because it's a different audience every time, as opposed to being the one responsible to produce the content and come up with something each time. That was just my thought, my uneducated thought on it. Have you? What do y'all think?
I think the difference is you can either be educating or the target based around, what podcast you're on. But if you're owning the platform, then you get to invite the people who you are most interested in having conversations with.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's one of
the content.
Right. I think it's one of the early stage, problems, which is we have this great business model. We're just not getting enough opportunities. And so if you got more opportunities and you're having conversations with people and you own that conversation, I don't know, might be something to consider.
Okay.
100%. So,
and that's one of those things too, podcasting, that you can video, make it YouTube, make it everything.
That's right.
Okay.
100%. Guys, I'm going to leave you guys in good hands with these cats. I'm going to go get set up for this golf tournament. But seriously, awesome hanging out with you guys. I really do enjoy it. Guys, keep grilling them. Talk about Babs at the end. But y'all have fun on this. Peyton, show is yours, bud. You get to close it out.
Have fun, Donnie.
See you, Donnie.
I will. See you guys.
See ya.
Rick and Crystal, I don't know this. I just had this thought. This is completely random, but do you have a 10-year-old that you could explain it to?
We have an 11-year-old. Yeah.
You got an 11-year-old.
So if you could explain it to your child and have them explain it back, like that's how you break it down, right? If you can make an 11-year-old understand what's going on, then surely the business people can understand what's going on. So that's just another idea for a little bit of content to try to simplify things and, be like, look, if our 11-year-old can understand what's going on, then surely the rest of you can understand that this is a profitable thing that you want to be doing. So
yeah,
just an idea.
Good. I like that.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Is the biggest challenge in your business right now the notion of you can go buy plenty of land, but you need the people to be on the other side of the transaction, right? Because you're the intermediary and just putting the deal together.
Yeah, Jerry, we work with another investor down in Houston, and together we'll borrow funds. Let's call it $1 million to go buy this 100 acres and subdivide it into 5 and 10 acre ranchettes, oversized lots, and then sell them. And it's easy to find land and it's easy to find borrowers, but we've got to sell a certain number of these notes on the back end and recapitalize so that we can pay our original debt. And so that we can go find another piece of property and go do it all over again. So the bottleneck of the business is this recapitalization effort.
It's the capital stack. Yeah, it always is in your business. One of the things that was intriguing to me is we use the term everyone deserves a second chance, or what is that piece of it? Because, high net worth individuals could go to traditional lending, right? They could just go borrow regular funds from a bank and hold their own mortgage. And so was there something to that? Like, are you marketing to people who have had a bankruptcy or some issue?
No, you're probably, so there's 2 entities. We also do residential as well. And a lot of those people, but okay, let me go back to the land. For the land side, to get a loan from a bank, usually they're going to need to put, say, 50% down to get a loan from the bank.
For raw land.
For raw land.
Yeah.
We go in, do a little bit of horizontal infrastructure, and then we sell it. But we're owner financing to these people where then a lot of them have cash where then they can build their home and they don't even have to go get a construction loan. And so that's why we owner finance it to them. A bank usually isn't going to lend. I mean, we have some borrowers that have had 800 credit score, usually really good credit score. We do run all of that debt to income. I mean, there's like 50 to 100 pages on that vetting process that we go through. Saying that, it's still hard for people to get a land loan. So we offer that and give them an opportunity for that. On the other side, we have another entity where we will buy single family homes. They're smaller homes, and usually we will owner finance them to a new homeowner, someone that's been leasing for years, and then now we have the opportunity to own a home for the first time. And so with that, we still give 10 to 12% interest, and that's be a little bit different, but it might be a little bit shorter term for our investors, but we offer that as well.
Got it. Yeah, no, it's just in the intro, and it was talking about, people deserve a second chance. I didn't know if there was a specific type of borrower that we were looking at to try and, bring in. That's why that's the question behind the question.
All types of borrowers, but most of them won't qualify for traditional lending. But but most people won't qualify for traditional lending on land anyways. So because of that LTV.
Can I just ask? Only because I don't know, what does the end user typically do with the land that they're buying from you? Are they actually using that land, or is that land, does it just stay part of this big group of land that then some other investor comes over and buys all of that? And then, you know what I mean?
No, this is a beautiful thing. And this is what fuels our business model is once we buy that 100 acres and split it up into 10 tracts, we sell each one to an individual end user, and they're going to build their home on it. It's their dream home. It's their 5 or 10 acre oversized lot that they can do whatever they want to. No one's going to tell them what they can or cannot do. We got really big after COVID because of that reason, because we're 30 minutes outside from the big town, from the big city. People can still make it in town and go to the grocery store and go to school and go to work and things of that nature. But it's an affordable 5-10 acre plot of land for them to build on. So the first thing they're going to do is drill a well. They're going to put a septic system, and they're going to begin preparing to build their home. That's a beautiful thing for me as a lender, because inherently it's raw land. What are they going to do? They're going to increase the value of it. They're going to make improvements to that land. And as a lender, effectively, that's what I am. That makes my collateral go up in value, which puts me in a great position. So, man, it's a home run when somebody starts building their home on the property, because if things went sideways and if they missed a payment and went into default and foreclosure, missed several payments, then I have the ability to take back that property, and you can't take that well, that septic, and that house with you. That's all on my land. I say on my land, on the land in the first lien position. So inherently, when it's raw, they make improvements, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and what's great with our model too is that we've created comparables. So when we've sold 2, 3, 4, 20 lots, we already know what that property is worth, and so we can go in, put it for sale. We already have agents ready that sell our properties, just our properties alone, and can turn around and reload that note and do it all over again. And that's not, no one wants to foreclose, and our buyers, sometimes there's multiple generations on these properties. So they're very eager to make sure that they pay, and most people are wanting to pay their mortgage. And we'll just give you a quick example. We ended up selling a property for cash, a piece of land for cash. And then he ended up owner financing the other 2 lots next to them, just to make a lot bigger lot for him and his family. And that was this last month. He already is in the process of, he's putting the pad site. The foundation might be poured by now. But I mean, he's already ready to build his own.
He's building a 3,700 square foot home. You know, if I held those notes, I'd feel pretty good that gentleman was going to pay.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, I like there's so much story, right? Like there's so much story there. So there's so much content to be able to educate with based on the stories, because stories educate so much better than education educates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you can tell the story of how this happened, people understand what you're explaining to them better than you say, we take the note and we do this and we did a blah, blah, blah. No, the guy built the house. You know what I mean? The story educates so much better and comes across so much easier to people for them to understand, and brings emotion, right? And emotion is you want people to have emotion to want to invest. So I think that story part of it is a big deal too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
What are the 3 best ideas that you've heard so far that you'll think you'll take a whack at?
I think the video content.
That's the easiest one, just because we have so much content. We just need to chop it up and put it out there. We're not on those social media sites. We're only doing stuff on LinkedIn right now.
Oh yeah. I mean,
so putting more on YouTube and the others would be great.
Yeah.
I think the podcast sounds a little intimidating to me, but I think that could be very beneficial. Like you're saying, we get to create our own content and what we share and talk about, which I do love. Anything that's technical, we get a little nervous and bogged down with. So I don't want that to be a bottleneck for us, but I like that idea. And
I think the group presentations, whether they're virtual workshops or in person, we've done them every once in a while.
We've got slides for them already.
We need to do more of them.
You're like, yeah.
We need to be seeking that out.
What if instead of a podcast, what if we reframe this podcast thought and think of it instead as doing a LinkedIn Live once a month? You do a LinkedIn Live once a month. It's live for LinkedIn. It also can stream to YouTube. It can be, it's content that can be chopped up later. But then it's not as overwhelming. When you think of a podcast, all of a sudden there's like 50 episodes and there's so much to do and there's all these things, but really nobody said you had to do a podcast that releases once a day or once a week or just
right.
one LinkedIn Live a month. Can there then be almost a podcast? You know what I mean? It's pretty easy to translate it. So just reframe the thinking on it a little bit and it will be less overwhelming, I think, because I do that too. And I'm like, oh, podcast. Okay, that's 150 episodes. That means all of my life. I can't do anything else.
Yeah.
But if you don't think of it that way, if you just think of it as one LinkedIn Live a month, then that's one stage. Like Donnie's always saying, you have to create your own stage. And so if you create that stage on LinkedIn and give yourself all that content to be able to reuse too. And I know you said you already have a lot of content, but it also gives you a platform and it gives you a way to invite somebody on as a guest, similar to how we are, that kind of thing.
I'm going to be 100% honest. I didn't know there was such a thing as LinkedIn Live.
Same.
I know.
Great. And I'll tell you, guys like Bernie and Peyton make that process go really smooth. So having a producer help you on the backside of that with the graphics and the whiz bangs, it just allows you to focus in on what it is that you're trying to do. And if you do that, I also would probably niche down into a webinar for high net financial planners, a webinar for real estate agents who are in land. There's a company, National Land Realty, that I worked with many years ago. I worked with their solar arm, and they focus in on just selling land. So I just would be really specific about who you're trying to get to that, so that people go, that's for me. Oh, that's exactly who I am. I should be at that. If you try and do it too broad, no one will feel compelled to show up.
Yeah, niching down is what sells. You find that one person, or not necessarily that one person, but the group of people that are looking for that specific thing that is in your title, or that specific thing that you are trying to reach them about. And rather than being broad and saying, yeah, anybody who wants to learn about land, you get niche down, and then you're finding the people that are actively searching for that thing. And it's just gets you that much closer to the actual end goal.
Yeah, that's good. I think I like the LinkedIn Live for sure. And then that webinar to niche down. I think we would need some help and advice on how to to go about some of that before we got started, though. Just some direction of where I think both of us, because we think, oh, this is a great idea. But then you go, okay, well, what are the steps to do that? We've got all the content, we got all the information, stories, you name it. But then how do we actually do it?
Luckily, Peyton and Bernie are really good at this.
Yeah, I'm writing that down.
We're in a good place.
That's what we love SCN.
It does ease the mental burden. I will tell you this. I mean, I ran a podcast for 2 years and I did it live. I did it every Thursday, 2 to 3 o'clock. It is, I mean, you do it weekly and it's like, oh shit, I got to be prepared to do this every week. So something, monthly works, but I would rotate your audience, right? So if you have three core audiences, do one a month for each of your 3 core audiences, and then you just wrap back around. And the next quarter, you're doing, what did I learn from those presentations? What questions did I get? Integrate that into the presentation. You could create a pretty virtuous cycle doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just for your own knowledge, so with a LinkedIn Live or even webinars, when you are posting about that on LinkedIn and when you are inviting people to those things, you create a lead list by the people who accept or who say that they're, I guess accept is the word I'm going for here. But even if they don't show, you still get the lead list, right? So you still get all the people who were interested in that. And so then that helps you build your list of people that you want to invite for the future, to have them keep coming back. So, and it gives you people to reach out to singly and say, shoot a DM and say, hey, I saw you registered for this, but you weren't able to come. Would love to send you the recording.
Yeah, that's great. I think one thing I did want to share too is that a big thing for us is legacy building. And it's not just about wealth. It is, like Rick had shared, we had built a place of refuge for women and children that have been sex trafficked. Like it's bigger and beyond us. And so we're building something for legacy as well, and wanting to share that as well with our investors and other people, where they're also seeing, oh, as I'm building wealth, it's something beyond me too. It's not just stacking cash. There's a purpose there, right? There's something larger than you. There's your children and there's your children's children, but there's also can be something a lot greater as well of wealth building. And so I think
I think to Ashley's points, I mean, story sells. So you have this brilliant story of building a refuge, being called back home to Texas, and like what's the opportunity and the legacy and the epiphanies that you had along the way, and why this works really, really well, and why you're so committed to it. It seems like that would be a very easy, interesting, and compelling story for you to tell, and you should tell it.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I know we're rocking and rolling still, but we are out of time on our podcast. So we'll go into upcoming events if anybody has any. Bernie, I know you have at least one.
Yep, I've got my signature event tomorrow, Audience Alchemy. I'll be co-facilitating with Julie Trombley. We'll be going through how to set up and invite people to your virtual event. So, Rick.
Look, something that you need.
Okay, Tuesday at 3.
Just so happens.
How about that?
Yeah.
By the way, has anybody else seen Julie Trombley's figurine that she created with ChatGPT?
No.
The little trend that everybody, oh my God, everybody
I've
has
seen some go by, but I haven't seen Julie's.
Julie's is so good. I was like, oh my God, nailed it. Those are, I haven't done one yet, but I think they're so fun. I love to see everyone else's. I think they're great.
I'm sure Bernie could do a legendary one.
Yeah, I'm going to be checking that out very, very soon.
I know, Bernie. I feel like this has to happen.
It's going to be
Ashley,
a Funko Pop with a 17-foot mustache.
Yeah.
Ashley,
do you have any upcoming events?
I do not have any upcoming events right now. My friend Jason and I still have we're going to do a sales once a month, get together for salespeople. To talk about just things of the sales nature that solopreneurs don't get to talk about often enough. So that's coming, but we don't have date specific for it yet. So,
all right, Jerry, anything coming up?
No, all of mine are internal that I'm doing. in the short term. Next 60 days are all internal events.
That's still good for you.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. Well, in the spirit of Donnie, guys, we're here every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time. So come see us next week if y'all are watching. And if you're not, you should be.
Just got to show the
otherwise-
trombinator. I don't know if you guys can see my screen right now, but that is
Here it
freaking amazing. You're not wrong, Ashley.
I told you, isn't that amazing?
That's good stuff.
That is fantastic.
All right. In the spirit of Donnie, love you, mean it. See you, bye.
Bye, guys.